Okay, in lesson 11, we're going to talk about the decimal expansion of some irrational numbers. And we're going to begin with this opening exercise of placing the square root of 28 on a number line. And we have done something similar to this in previous lessons, so we're just going to go beyond this. And I want you to do this on your own, kind of get an idea, pause, and give yourself a couple tries, like it says, guess the first few values, and explain. And I would say pause for about 2 minutes and do this. And then we're going to use that to jump into example 1. So go ahead and pause right now and do the opening exercise. Alright, in number 1 it says consider the decimal expansion of the square root of 3. Okay. To find the two values of the decimal expansion, use the following fact. If c squared is greater than 3, or if c squared is less than 3, and 3 is less than d squared, and these are positive, then it would look like this. We would take the squares, take them off, and square root this number. So, because we're looking at this, what two numbers it's between, okay, and those would be perfect, this would be perfect squares here, and these would be the square root of the perfect squares. So down here, because 1 is less than 3 and 3 is less than 4, okay, we would square root all of them. So we would square, these are perfect squares, and we would square root it. So then we would have the square, 1 is less than the square root of 3, and the square root of 3 is less than 2. So because we have this is our first one, we're kind of seeing what two whole numbers it's between. So we got to see what we have to determine what two perfect squares the number is between. And here we determined it was between 1 and 4. Then square root the perfect squares. Okay, and that's where we see that the square root of 3 is between 1 and 2. Okay, so we have our number line here. The square root of 3 is between 1 and 2. Now, we want to get an idea of what it is, so this is where we're going to use the calculator a little bit, but not depend on it, because we're just doing an estimation. Okay, so grab your calculator, and so it's between 1 and 2, so we're going to do a little estimation. Is it between 1.2 and 1.3? So we would square those numbers. Okay. To check. We're going to square them to check. So 1.2 squared, is that less than 3, and is 3 less than 1.3 squared? Okay, well, if we do 1.3 times 1.3, we get 1.69. 3 is not less than 1.69, so that doesn't work. So let's go up here and try this. Up here, 1.6 and 1.7. So between 1.6 squared and 1.7 squared. 1.7 squared. 3 is still not less than that. So we can't do that. So what about 1.7 squared and 1.8 squared? So we know this is 2.98. 1.8 squared is 3.24. So it would be between 1.7 and 1.8 somewhere. So then for the third approximation we would say, okay, this is 1.70, 1.71, 1.72, 1.73, 1.74. It's like adding a penny every time. And then we would kind of see where it is. So based on this, 3 is closer to this than it is this. So I'm going to say maybe it's between 7.2 and 7.3. So let's try that. 1.72 squared, is that less than 3, and is 3 less than 1.73 squared? So yes, this is 2.95, 0.73 squared. Oh, nope. Check the large end. Not quite 3. 3 is not less than that. So 1.73 squared, is that less than 3, which would be less than 1.74. Let's see, 1.74 squared. Yes. So it would be in between these two numbers. So then we would put it's between here. So we would put it right here, square root of 3. And when you draw it on the number line, you don't want to put what it would be if you simplified it, because this is not an exact number. Okay? This is not an exact number. This is an estimation. This is the exact number. Okay, so you want to use the exact number. So then we're going to move on and we're going to do some more examples. We're going to do, I think, 2 more examples. Okay? And first few, I would say would be at least 2 decimals. 2 decimal places, which we count that as the hundredths. Okay, so the first approximation, so we know that the square root of 28 would have to be between 25 and 36 squared. Nope, not squared. Sorry. Okay, so 28 is between 25 and 36. So if we square rooted those, it would be between 5 and 6. Everybody good with that? 25 and 36 are perfect squares, so you got to look for what perfect squares it is between. Okay, so then now we're going to say, okay, we know it's between 5 and 6. Now on the number line, where do we think it is? Well, if I look at this, 28 is closer to 25 than 36. So I would say, okay, maybe it's 5.1, between 5.1 and 5.2. So it's 5.1 squared less than 28, and less than is 28 less than 5.2 squared. And this is just kind of a guessing game. That's 26. 5.2 squared is 27, so not enough. Let's see, 5.3 squared is 28. So it would be between 5.2 squared and 5.3 squared. So it would be in here somewhere. okay, in between those two numbers, okay? And then we're going to go to the third approximation, so this would be 5.21, 5.22, 5.23, 5.24, 5.25, 5.26, 5.27. So this was tenths. Sorry, I'm going back. This is hundredths. Two numbers, and this would be, we'll talk about that in a minute. 5.28, 5.29. Oh, I guess this would be 5.0. Oh well. 6. 5.20. I'll fix it. Okay, so now I got to kind of figure out where it was. And if we look at 5.3 squared, that's really close. Okay, so we just need to go a little bit below that, I would say. 5.2 squared is 27, so it's a little bit further away. So I would say probably up here. So I'm going to see 5.27 squared is that less than 28, and is 28 less than 5.28 squared. So 5.27 squared is that. 5.28 squared, not less, so not that. So maybe 5.29 is less than 6. Oh, and that's not 6, this is 5.30. So yes, this is less. 5.3 would be 29, 28. So it would be between here and this right here is 5.3. So it would be on the number line here. So now we're going to expand it again. So this would be 5.290, 5.291, 5.293, 5.294, oh geez, this would be 2, 3, 4, okay. So when we get to 3 numbers after, that's where we would call that thousandths. So this is a thousandths. And 5.3, it was really close. 5.3 was really close. So that's close too. So maybe in the middle somewhere. So I'm going to say 5.295 squared is less than or equal to 28, which is less than or equal to 5.296 squared. And I have no idea. So that is not less than 28, so that doesn't work, so we need to go down. So 5.294 squared, nope. Okay, 5.293 squared, nope. 5.292 squared, 5.291 squared, so it'll be 5.291 squared is less than 28, which is less than 5.292 squared. So this is what we would use, and we would place it on the number line here. We would put a point and we would label it square root of 28. Okay, so when you are estimating, find the first few decimal places. Okay, you can continue on and say that, so the square root of 28 equals 5.291, and then some numbers after that, which would be like using the square root button here. 5.291502622 dot 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 dot. And this doesn't look like it's repeating, so I would say that it goes on forever. Okay. So that's what we would say here, and I'm going to actually go back to this one over here. Okay, and I would say that the square root of 3, you can't see that, equals 1.73, maybe 5, dot, 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 dot. Okay. Oh, 732. It was just a guess. So you can kind of see how this works. And now we're going to go and we're going to do exercise 1. We're going to practice this once. Okay. So here we go. So if we take the square root of 14 and we make it 14, what two perfect squares is it in between? It would be between 9 and 16. Okay, so if we square root everything, we would get 3 and 4. So we know it's between 3 and 4. So the square root of 14 is between 3 and 4. Then I'm going to make a number line. 3, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, 4. And that's something else. So then I kind of have to do a little guesswork. 14 is closer to 16, so maybe it's closer up here, so maybe 3.7 squared, is that less than 14, and is 14 less than 3.8 squared? I have no idea. 3.7 squared is 3.8 squared. Yeah, so that was a good guess. So it is between 7 and 8 here. Okay. So then we're going to make another number line. 3.7, 3.71. It's like adding a penny every time. 3.72, 3.73, 3.74, 3.75, 3.76, 3.77, 3.78, 3.79, 3.8. Okay? So, then I'm going to try to see what is what. So, this is kind of in the middle. And 3.8 squared. It's kind of in the middle, so maybe it's like 3.74 squared. Is that less than or equal to 14? Or less than 14 is 14 less than 3.75 squared. Yes, it is. Another good guess for me today. So we know that it will be between 3.74 and 3.75 in here somewhere. And it asks us to which interval of 100ths does the square root of 14 lie? Okay, so when we're doing this problem, we've got to do it another one. This is the hundredths place, but which interval does it lie between? So we need to know a little bit more in detail. No, we don't. We're good. So the square, we're going to work through this, and then the square root of 14 is between 3.74, and 3.75.